Fivetran versus Talend? Here's the quick answer. Pick Fivetran if you want managed ELT that just works. Setup is quick, schema changes are automatic. It's a strong fit when your main goal is moving data into a cloud warehouse with minimal maintenance. But as your data grows, MAR-based pricing can get harder to predict. And if you need advanced transformations or operational workflows, you may end up adding more tools. Pick Talend if you need deep customization, governance, or hybrid deployment. You get more control across complex enterprise environments. But you'll also need more technical expertise and more time to manage it. Then there's Integrate.io. It brings ETL, ELT, CDC, transformations, reverse ETL, and orchestration into one low-code platform. That means fewer tools to manage and less work keeping your data stack running day to day. Pricing is flat rate. Data volumes are unlimited, so you get more flexibility than Fivetran without taking on Talend's complexity. Want the simpler option? Visit Integrate.io and schedule a demo. That was the quick comparison. Now let's dig deeper. Fivetran and Talend both move data, but they make different assumptions about who should own the work. Fivetran assumes your team wants the pipeline infrastructure handled for you. Talend assumes your team wants more control over the work. Integrate.io sits between those approaches without requiring a large integration environment. Fivetran focuses on managed data movement with less maintenance. Talend covers integration, quality, governance, and deployment, but demands more technical ownership. Architecturally, Fivetran follows modern ELT. Extract the data, load it, then transform it using the warehouse's compute. Its hosted dbt core integration runs SQL models there. Talend supports ELT too, so calling it only a traditional ETL tool is outdated. It can also transform before loading and run jobs across cloud, on-premises, or hybrid environments. Why does that matter? The location of the transformation changes the compute bill, where sensitive fields are cleaned and how failures are diagnosed. Warehouse-first ELT makes models easy to rebuild, but consumes warehouse resources and may land raw fields before they are masked. ETL can validate or remove fields earlier, but puts more business logic inside the pipeline. The choice depends on which rules must run before the data arrives. For a cloud-first team, Fivetran's model is simple. Connect a source, choose a destination, and let the service handle extraction and loading. It can also carry source schema changes into the destination. Is Fivetran easier to use than Talend for non-technical users? For a standard SaaS to warehouse pipeline, generally yes. Fivetran reduces the number of design and deployment choices. Talend gives you more ways to build the job, but that flexibility is most useful when somebody on the team understands integration architecture. For a startup with no data engineering team, Fivetran is usually a better fit than Talend when the job is loading SaaS data into Snowflake or BigQuery. Still, no platform can decide data definitions or access rules for you. A small team must own those choices. Maintenance is where Fivetran often earns its place. The service handles connector updates, incremental sync logic, retries, and much of the response to schema drift. Your team still monitors data quality and downstream models, but it spends less time maintaining the movement layer. Automatic schema handling deserves a closer look. Fivetran can carry a new source column into the destination, but that does not guarantee a downstream metric still means the same thing. A renamed status field can sync successfully and still change a business result. Schema automation reduces maintenance, but teams still need tests, ownership, and controls for sensitive columns. Fivetran hosts and schedules dbt core models after upstream syncs finish. Since the dbt Labs merger closed in June 2026, Fivetran and dbt Labs are now the same company. That removes a vendor boundary, but it does not remove the work. Your team still owns the SQL, tests, and modeling decisions. For a warehouse-first team, that division is often sensible. Then there is pricing. Fivetran uses usage-based pricing. Connections and activations are measured in monthly active rows, or MAR, while transformation usage is measured in successful model runs. Within Fivetran's 2026 pricing model, inserts, updates, and deletes count toward March. A row changed multiple times in a month is generally counted once per connection. However, history mode is an exception. Repeated updates create new history rows, which count toward paid March. Fivetran also applies a $5 monthly base charge to each paid connection, generating between 1 and 1 million March. Free plan connections are excluded. Fivetran's pricing can work well when data changes are stable. Forecasting gets harder when active records, connections, destinations, or activation flows change. The useful question is, how many distinct rows will become active across each part of this setup every month? The phrase "each part" matters. Separate connections and destinations are counted separately, while activations have their own MAR usage. One flow on a whiteboard may contain several billable paths. During a proof of concept, identify high change tables and model the effect of adding another destination or reverse ETL flow. Total cost of ownership goes beyond the invoice. For Fivetran, include MAR, model runs, warehouse compute, and extra tools. Then count the staff time saved by having the movement layer managed. That saved time is often the economic reason to choose it. Now compare that with Talend, which is part of Qlik. Talend supports ETL, ELT, real-time movement, APIs, data quality, and governance across cloud, on-premises, and hybrid environments. That breadth makes Talend a stronger candidate for enterprise data governance when integration is tied to lineage, stewardship, residency requirements, or legacy systems. Suppose a bank must move records from an on-premises core system, apply quality rules, and preserve lineage. Talend is closer to that requirement than a SaaS to warehouse service. For a large legacy migration, its broad connectivity and hybrid options can justify the added complexity. The governance difference becomes clearer when data is wrong. A loading-focused platform can tell you whether a pipeline ran. Qlik Talend can also profile records, apply quality rules, assign stewardship, and trace lineage. Those capabilities matter when a company needs an auditable process for deciding whether data is fit for use. They matter less when a small team only needs analytics tables from a few known sources. The trade-off is maintenance. A wider platform brings more choices about components, environments, job design, deployment, and administration. Talend Studio and remote execution give technical teams detailed control, but somebody still has to design and manage the environment. The hidden requirement is team structure. Talend works best when integration engineering and governance have clear owners. Without that, its flexibility can become a collection of jobs that only one specialist understands. With clear ownership, the same flexibility can support standards across departments. Qlik publishes 4 Talend Cloud editions and directs buyers to sales for quotes. Capacity is measured by a combination of data volume moved, number of job executions, and execution duration, so the same volume can cost differently depending on how the jobs are designed. When calculating Talend's total cost of ownership, include development time, infrastructure, upgrades, monitoring, and the people needed to keep jobs healthy. For a complex enterprise, that investment may replace several narrower tools. For a simple warehouse pipeline, it may be more platform than the team needs. Security deserves its own test. Compare where data is processed, whether private connectivity is available, how roles and SSO work, what the audit logs capture, and which controls belong to the plan you are buying. A certification badge alone does not show how the pipeline fits your security model. What about connector lists and source compatibility? Both vendors publish large connector catalogs, and those catalogs keep changing. Do not choose based on the headline number. Check the exact source, destination, authentication method, objects, fields, sync mode, and API limits required by your workload. One supported connector that handles your edge case is worth more than hundreds you will never use. Go deeper during testing. Can the connector capture deletes and historical changes? How does it handle nested objects, custom fields, rate limits, and expired credentials? Can it backfill history without blocking daily updates? These details determine whether it is production ready. And what about Fivetran versus Talend performance with Snowflake and BigQuery? There is no honest universal winner without testing your workload. Performance depends on the source, change rate, extraction method, warehouse configuration, transformation design, and required freshness. Do not judge performance by the first successful load. Measure backfill time, steady-state latency, warehouse compute, failure rate, and recovery time. A fast demo can hide expensive recovery at scale. So the Fivetran versus Talend decision is fairly direct. Choose Fivetran when your destination is mainly a cloud warehouse, your team is comfortable with SQL and dbt, and you want the vendor to manage the movement layer. Choose Talend when integration reaches across legacy systems, APIs, governance processes, and hybrid environments, and your team is prepared to own the added complexity. But many mid-sized businesses sit between those two choices. They need to clean and join data inside a pipeline, capture database changes, send trusted records back to operational apps, and monitor the process. They do not want every new workflow to become an engineering project. That is where Integrate.io fits. Integrate.io supports ETL, ELT, change data capture, and reverse ETL in one managed platform. Its visual builder includes low-code transformations, while custom logic is available for technical teams. An analyst or operations team can own routine pipelines, while engineering keeps control over permissions and harder cases. Consider a customer operations workflow. Orders start in PostgreSQL, accounts live in Salesforce, and product events arrive through an API. The company needs a clean customer table in its warehouse, then a health score returned to Salesforce. With separate products, extraction, transformation, and reverse ETL each bring their own permissions and monitoring. Integrate.io can keep those stages together. Common filtering, joining, masking, and reshaping steps can be reviewed visually, with custom logic available when needed. For database replication, Integrate.io supports change data capture, so the pipeline can move changes without repeatedly copying the full source. Monitoring and alerts show when a job fails or falls behind. Its API can manage pipeline definitions programmatically when engineering wants version-controlled deployment instead of manual clicks. Integrate.io also includes reverse ETL. Fivetran offers reverse data movement through activations, so that capability is not unique. The difference is whether ingestion, transformation, CDC, monitoring, and delivery back to business applications should share one operating environment. Its pricing model is another difference. Integrate.io's core plan is flat $1,999 a month with unlimited data volumes, pipelines, and connectors. Security options, extra resources, or services can affect the final package, but the base model is not tied to monthly active rows. Predictable pricing does not remove capacity planning. Warehouse compute still costs money, and demanding workloads may need extra resources. The difference is that another batch of rows does not create another MAR charge in the base platform price. So, what is the best alternative to Fivetran and Talend in 2026? Integrate.io is often the best fit when the team needs low-code transformations, CDC, reverse ETL, and predictable base pricing in one managed platform. Fivetran may still be cleaner for managed warehouse loading. Talend may still be stronger for deep governance and hybrid integration. Before choosing, run the same workflow in every proof of concept. Include a schema change and real business logic. Trigger a failure and time the diagnosis. Then estimate the bill at today's volume and at 3 times that volume. Also test who can operate the pipeline after launch. Ask an analyst to change a mapping, an engineer to review it, and whoever is on call to diagnose a failed sync. The right platform is the one your team can run safely after the guided demo ends. That test exposes the difference between a good demo and a platform your team can live with. If Integrate.io sounds closer to the way your team wants to work, there is a link below where you can see the platform on your own data and compare the full operating cost for yourself.